What is good, everybody? We are live, I think. We are live. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the 9th episode of the Hangout. It's a more laid back, more off the cuff, more impromptu, definitely more unprofessional kind of outlet for anyone and anybody who has a thing to vent or something to talk about. And usually it's when we have news bombs or, instant news drops where we just have to talk about it. So if you're new to the show or you're unfamiliar with the Worldwide Company of Gamers podcast in general, this is the second show to that. The I guess you could say the sub show to the Company of Gamers podcast, and it's called the Hangout. And welcome and good evening. Wow, guys, it's been crazy. We've just had a bit of a entertainment. We've just had some entertainment on Twitter, seeing kind of the news drop from industry, GameIndustry.biz, and we've got a hell of a panel to talk about this. So let's start off with our good friend of the panel, Zubitech. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good, thanks, Fully. It's great to be here and talk to you guys and
that's awesome.
Hear your takes and stuff. So yeah, I'm eager to hear what you need to say, Wooly.
No pressure. When Zubitech's eager to hear what you have to say, it's flipping heck. No, it's awesome that you're here, buddy. Looking forward to hearing your takes as well. You've been on fire on Twitter recently, my dude, and it's been awesome kind of reading all that you've had to say. We'll definitely be pulling up some of your receipts tonight, I have no doubt. My boy David Falkey, how you doing?
Doing well, mate. How are you going?
Oh, you just started cutting out. Do you want to try that again, bud?
Sorry, mate. I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, Bonza. I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Bonza.
Not bad at all. It's going to be a good show.
No one in Australia says Bonza, mate.
I know. I've heard that is an obsolete phrase. It's just I got it from Kangaroo Jack. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if they say that in Kangaroo Jack, but I used to love that.
It's
film.
Horrible.
Man,
that's horrible film, mate. That's horrible film.
It was when I was a kid. It was when I was a kid.
Looking forward to this one.
Yeah,
let's get amongst it.
Retro, what about you, bud? How are you?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm just stuck in work. So, but other than that, I'm good.
Well, you can definitely multitask, bro. It's great that you're here, buddy. And Sev, DZ, how you doing, bud?
I am good, bro. Happy to be here. This is my third hangout with you. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think I was a part of the first one and the second one, maybe. So yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping in on this one. This is a good one. It actually shout out to Zuby for proposing this idea. So
yeah, flipping heck, it was Zubitech who was like, Wooly, you need to get a show going to talk about this. Yeah, couldn't agree more. So yeah, let's freaking give people what they want. It's going to be a bit of a shorter show tonight because we're just kind of talking about this main one topic. For those who are not in the know, who wants to break it down for us? What's just happened? Falky, Retro, do you want to give the rundown?
I mean, I could give the rundown and we could just jump right into it.
Go for it. Go for it.
So, as everybody knows, Microsoft is going through the regulatory process with their monumental nearly $70 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. And the regulatory processes have taken them to the UK, and the UK's regulatory body is now doing a probe on their process, and they've found that they need more information because they feel that there's some things that could make this acquisition very monopolistic, and shifting the weight that may hurt other competition, may hurt the other competition. And of course, in reaction to this, they've been given 5 days to come up with counter arguments to convince them on making a move that would favor the acquisition. And in the middle of this week, Phil Spencer basically said that when this deal was announced, they sent a written agreement to PlayStation saying that they would honor the existing contract and then also extend the deal that they had with Activision for a number of years later, longer than the deal would be. And it was only just revealed today, hours ago, that Jim Ryan decided to go public with this and basically said that the deal was unacceptable, and the terms of the deal, which he laid out, was for 3 years more, undermined the safety and the accessibility to PlayStation players beyond. And of course, there's nuance to it from both sides. So
we'll be definitely...
that nuance is what we're going to discuss. That nuance is what we're definitely going to discuss tonight.
Big facts, big facts. It's we actually had a Company of Gamers podcast last night, or was it the day before? I lose track of time right now. But we actually had a phenomenal show where we actually broke down all the ins and outs of the CMA's investigation, why they're doing it. Falky raised an amazing point, being the financial business analyst that he is. David Faulkner, reiterated and kind of hammered down on the main issue that the CMA raised, and that's the restrictions and basically the strain that acquiring such a huge conglomerate of a third-party publisher would put on new entrants into the streaming service or game service market. So for example, any kind of relatively new or upcoming services from competing platforms, all them third-party games that they could have made deals to get onto their service to compete, they no longer can, because they've been acquired by a console platform publisher and are made first party. Let alone the fact that an entire player base, as Jim Ryan ever so savagely and just brutally honestly kind of highlighted, who has enjoyed this franchise for more than 20 years, are suddenly, and make up the bulk of the sales, are suddenly kind of being having that taken away. And I think that's an important thing to mention. So if you want to check that show out, it's literally on this channel. You'll see the latest episode of the Worldwide Company of Gamers podcast. And you can definitely check that out. It's so much insight and golden nuggets of info, worth your time. If you fully time stamped as well, if you want the rundown.
I'm going to be a pain here. We're going to jump in because I got a meeting to go to in about 15 minutes.
Go for it, my dude.
So to piggyback directly off what you and Sev just spoke about, if you look at what was in that article, that Jim Ryan's response, that something that he thought was supposed to be private was suddenly made public.
Mm-hmm.
And the key thing was when he said it had been on PlayStation for 20 years and PlayStation had worked extremely hard to basically be a major reason as to why it's the top selling game, top played game, the marketing that they put into it, like Modern Warfare 2 announcement, they hired out a whole freaking shipping dock area with a half a dozen shipping containers. That shit ain't cheap. So all of a sudden for it to be then, we'll honour the contract and maybe we'll go a couple of years longer, even though we've already said we won't do annual releases once the contract's, sort of completed. To have all that effort put in there to then be given such a miserly additional piece, I can understand why he said what he said, because, anyone with half a brain of how to run big business wouldn't have put that shit out in public. and they probably should have argued hard to make sure it was redacted when it was presented in court. But now it's not aiding Xbox by Phil having said this and being rebuffed by PlayStation. It actually harms them to a degree. Like they said in the CMA submission that Daisy was talking about, they referenced directly to the actions of what Phil and Xbox did with Bethesda. They said one thing, then they changed it. He said something here that's flaky and put it out in public trying to garner support. All the big supporters in the Xbox and all the rest of it said, oh, but, you know, you're getting this, you're getting this, you're getting this. And then all of a sudden, one simple little article, 2 paragraphs in an article, and it just completely deteriorates that whole narrative. The thing that I find the most egregious, though, is when people say, oh, but PlayStation does third-party exclusives. But PlayStation does all this other exclusive stuff with third-party. It's the same.
So
you know, it's no different. And it drives me nuts because it's not the same. It's not the same. When Sony invests in a third-party exclusive, if it's not, that's Daisy and yourself and myself and Zuby and that were talking about it earlier. If it's a third-party exclusive DLC, or it's a level, or it's something, that game's still available on other platforms. If it's an exclusive, timed exclusive third-party deal that puts the game only on the PlayStation ecosystem, it still ends up coming available to other platforms at some point. But it's not being locked away behind a paywall for a Game Pass subscription. So then how can they say it's the same thing when you've had one game that's been constantly on PlayStation for 20 plus years and other consoles, might I add, because it's not exclusive to PlayStation. And it's not just Call of Duty. There's multiple titles that are at risk of this. And they say, this is what it is. Oh, but it's the same as if PlayStation fund a game and it's exclusive on PlayStation. And they keep using Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake's exclusive period's finished. And it's on PC. It's not only on PlayStation. It's on other platforms as well. And you look at the cadence of what's coming, or the release schedule of what's coming down the pathway with PlayStation. If they paid for a game to be built, they're entitled to have it on their platform. But if a third party agrees to build that game for them, what's the difference?
Xbox can still pay to have a Final Fantasy game made for them. The Final Fantasy IP isn't owned by Sony, and they haven't bought the IP, and that's the difference. A huge difference.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
It's freaking crazy.
Yeah,
it's
and that's probably my main input on this subject. As I said, sorry, I got to shoot off in a minute, but
all good, brother.
You can't say Phil is the greatest because he's doing this, and this, and he's trying to win a bet each way of making it, seem like he's the hero. And then all of a sudden it comes out that no, he's done something that he probably shouldn't have done. He's made not a smart decision here. And that's debatable amongst others, but I've worked at that higher level. I understand what a stupid decision looked like. So he should have kept his mouth shut. Xbox should just tell Phil to shut up for the next 12 months because he's going to end up getting that Activision deal. It'll go through with such huge conditions on it. They'll have wasted $70 billion to go fucking nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. Like, a shout out to the Ginner. He's a lad that I've had numerous kind of disagreements with, but we kind of almost pseudo get along. But he came out with this, stinker of a take. It's clear Jim didn't care locking out content, games and series from other consoles for years. And and this is what I'll never understand, that false equivalency. I said to him, how can you look at an exclusive game mode with criticism but dismiss Bethesda and Activision IPs being permanently bought off of its most popular platform and player base? You've all lost it. And they keep on coming out with that rhetoric. Go on.
I do. I was just going to say, could you imagine if the CMA turned around, or the FTC turned around and said, well, in order for this Activision deal to go through, because of things said and things done in the past Xbox, you've now got to make certain key titles must be multi-platform. And I'm not saying this is a fact, but could you imagine if Starfield got delayed again because they had to put it on PlayStation? Could you imagine what would happen there?
Yeah.
I know it's far-fetched, but don't go beyond what these regulators could turn around and say you must do. Because don't forget, most of these regulators, they don't know jack shit about game development, and they don't know jack shit about the industry. And they don't care. They just look at it and go, oh, you're creating restrictions for other entrants to come in. That's not okay. Ergo, you must rectify this issue or you can't do what you want to do. And if they block it in the UK, the EU will block it as well, and then they're fucked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. You know, it just baffles me how, you know, Kid Smooth said a similar point. He mentioned, he wrote a letter, bless him, to the CMT saying that Sony does more damage than Microsoft when it comes to these exclusive deals. And wait a
goddamn minute. He wrote a letter.
He wrote a letter, dear CMT, on Twitter, bless him.
That one.
Bro,
I didn't even read it.
Bro,
I thought he wrote a physical letter and sent it to them via email because I won't put it past him, but I doubt it. You know, I said to him, wait, Sony does more damage actually funding the creation of new IPs and games that wouldn't exist if they hadn't. And I said, Smooth, Starfield, Doom, Elder Scrolls 6, Wolfenstein, Fallout, Call of Duty, all these games would still exist had Microsoft not bought them to make them permanent exclusives. You know, assisting the industry is making deals with the industry, not freaking buying the industry. And supporting the industry to grow. And making great games exclusive to a platform will help that talent to grow. But to buy that talent, to hone them down to a subscription service that blocks out the competition, that's not assisting the industry. But back to the point, you know, Jim was having none of this. You know, Phil Spencer wants to make out he's some kind of doing a pseudo noble thing. Oh, we'll let you have 3 years of Call of Duty extra. You know, how noble of you, Phil. But Call of Duty has existed on PlayStation for nearly 20 years. And
Jim,
go on.
Jim acted like a CEO should. Came out, quashed it, set the record straight. Didn't need to, didn't have to, but chose to in the situation. And up until this point, Phil's not acting like a CEO. Phil's acting like, trying to act like your best mate whilst having no clue what the hell he's doing. Anyway, I'm going to have to drop off in a couple of minutes, lads. So I'll say hooray now, and I'll listen for a few more minutes, then I got to go.
All right, Mucker. Thank you. Zuby, what's your thoughts on what Jim... let's just read what Jim actually wrote, right? So, as you know, Phil Spencer, he said that he's made out to put to the public, which is completely like... I don't know why he said this for the public to read, that he wrote Jim a letter saying that he can have several years go beyond the contract of Call of Duty. Like he was being nice, and so Jim's responded in a very British manner, proper Scotsman. You know, he ain't taking no shit. He replied, "I hadn't intended to comment on what I understood to be a private business discussion, but I feel the need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer brought this into the public forum." Ryan stated. Microsoft has only offered for Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation for 3 years after the current agreement between Activision and Sony ends. After almost 20 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation, their proposal was inadequate on many levels and failed to take account of the impact on our gamers. We want to guarantee PlayStation gamers continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle. What's your takes on it, Zuby lad?
So again, just to make clear, like Call of Duty is the biggest IP in gaming in terms of like console gaming. I have to make that clear. Like again, like it generates over so much, like billions of dollars every year. So it's such a big IP, and Jim Ryan, like to me, it seems like he knows something that we don't know. again, like it seems like there's something exclusive gonna happen. I think after 2024. So after 2024, that's when the deal expires with the Activision deal with Sony. So that's when like he promised another 3 years that will take it up to 2027. So I think in those 3 years there'll be something exclusive. But I don't think it's just Game Pass. I think there's like another exclusive, like where there's map packs or whatever it is. There's something exclusive there that's gonna happen, and that's what he means. He doesn't want to cut off Call of Duty to PlayStation gamers. Yeah, again, like just what David said, he's 100% correct. Like, he's setting the record straight. Like, I'm sure like that's the reason why he came out. What I just said, like, there's something exclusive there, and they're gonna cut off PlayStation. I've said that on your podcast as well, Wooly. Like, they're gonna cut Call of Duty off PlayStation. Like that's gonna happen.
Yeah, 100%.
They're gonna do it. Like that's a fact. Like he's flip flopped with the Starfield, and then he said like is exclusive to like Game Pass. Like you can't say that. Oh, we're gonna get more players, but it just doesn't make sense what their strategy is. Like you can't say when everyone plays we all win. It just doesn't make sense. Like you eat because PlayStation
Make
is
your mind
such.
up.
Yeah, it's such a big part of the pie, and I care about this industry. I love console gaming. I think that's the best place to game. Like it is. You're getting all these third party games, and you're just chopping it off. That not only hurts the industry, that's less revenue, less people playing those games, and for anyone says that, oh no, you're upset that Call of Duty is going to Xbox. No, this is a third party IP. All Bethesda, like just like you said, Wooly. These are third party IPs. These have a history, a community, players on PlayStation, and not only that, they have the most players on PlayStation. They bring the most revenue. Like this is. I don't understand why people are not shocked about this deal. Like it's shattering, and it's gonna hurt this industry. Like it hurts me personally. Like all the stuff like what they're doing is it's not just about Game Pass. Like it doesn't matter. You should understand like the business economics. What's happening? This is not good for the industry. You're cutting off player bases. Where are these players gonna go?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I wrote the other day. I think Microsoft could and should have gone about spending 70 billion to fund and support third-party devs and independent studios to make quality timed and permanent exclusives for their platform. I said this the other night, make a banger. That'll bring people to your platform. Make a banger, make multiple bangers. But buying them, buying the industry, go on.
Just like you said, Wooly, they can go to Square Enix and get Final Fantasy. No one's stopping them.
Exactly. 100%. And, it would have been far more, I wrote, it would have been far more competitive and supportive of the industry if they had done that. But instead they chose the lazy way because they've got the money. But what's more than that is, Jim, I think the CMA hit the nail on the head, but I think they're reflecting what a lot of the industry are feeling towards Microsoft for this. Because look at how sleazy they were with Bethesda, right? And I don't care what anybody tries to say to counter this. Phil Spencer lied through his back teeth. Like, it was so blatant a lie what he said. Just let's reread this, right? Zubitech made this excellent thread, and just go through this. He quotes Phil Spencer here, and these were Phil's own words before the Bethesda acquisition was finalized. He said this deal was not done to take games away from another player base like that. Nowhere in the documentation, so semantics, that we put together was, how do we keep other players from playing these games? We want more people. Get this, we want more people to be able to play these games, not fewer people to be able to go play games. After the Bethesda acquisition, if you're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusives. Like, how much of a contradiction is that? This is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. There could not be a greater dichotomy, a greater duality. The complete polar opposites. Or am I going mad? Am I going mad here? You know, is it just me? Or was that just a complete blue ass lie? Was that 100% a contradiction? What he said before the acquisition to what he said after. So it's no shit that Jim doesn't take a single thing that Phil Spencer says with any sort of kind of credibility, because what Phil has said before about Bethesda, the moment that deal passed, the complete opposite took place. And he peddled that he'd honoured the contract, and a lot of bots will peddle that as well. Oh, he honoured the contract though of Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. Well, we discussed the other night on the show with David Faulkner, what honouring the contract actually means. It just means allowing the contract to continue without proposing a new offer, and that would have involved cancellation clauses and clawback clauses, i.e. it would have been very fucking expensive for Microsoft to cancel that contract between Sony and Activision because of Bethesda, because of the damages Sony would have been protected with. The fees, probably more than double the money that Sony had already put in would have been given back to them. So that's not being honourable, guys. That's just being commonsensical. And so a lot of the words and the use of words that Phil uses, the I'm a hero, I'm nice, I'm honouring the contract, or I'll give you several years of Call of Duty beyond the contract. It's all just bullshit PR talk that a company can see right through. Who else wants to talk? I've talked long enough.
And the funny thing is that statement was made in January, and then a certain journalist on The Verge, he retweeted that after I retweeted this. So
sorry,
he tried to
retweeted what?
Yeah.
Brother?
So basically, he retweeted what the statement was in January of Phil Spencer, saying that these games would remain on PlayStation. He made that statement in January. It wasn't made in September or August. Mm-hmm. So basically, he tried to make Xbox look good, and then you saw the CMA come in, and then obviously my tweet as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he just tried to basically make Xbox look good.
You love it. That's all they tried to do. I mean, it says here the CMA noted that Microsoft has followed this approach in several past acquisitions of gaming studios, where it made future game releases from those studios exclusive in consoles to Xbox, such as the upcoming Starfield, and based on Microsoft's public statements, Elder Scrolls 6 from Bethesda, and obviously other Bethesda games. So, a lie's a lie, and once you've made a lie about one big publisher you want to buy, and the moment it's gone through, you completely do a U-turn on what you've promised and what you've said. It's no different to a politician. People get tired, and it's, again, why would they trust him about an even bigger publisher? The irony of reading people say, oh, greedy Sony, crying about 3 years more Call of Duty, they just want money. I'm thinking to myself, like, what does your parents put in your water? Like, it's for real for you to say that. Isn't the whole decision to have bought Bethesda and buy Activision and make their IPs exclusive as soon as possible? Isn't that greed? Isn't that for money? Isn't that, having all those games all to themselves? But God forbid Sony actually give a damn about an IP that's been a staple franchise for nearly 20 years on their platform for their player base. That, I'll stress, that the player base of which supports that franchise the most. Yes, even more than PC. So what am I missing here? Really, where's the greed out of those two?
Facts.
For real, Call of Duty makes its company, Activision, the total value that Sony spent buying Bungie. Not Destiny, not an IP, the entire studio of that IP, and that IP costs Sony, with a bonus on top, right, what Call of Duty makes a year for Activision. Let that sink in. That's how big Call of Duty is. Anyone else want to talk?
Yeah, man. I'll just say this. Most people are talking about a deal that's a multi-platform deal for PlayStation, and PlayStation has first dibs and a 30-day, I think they have a 30-day. They have a 30-day exclusive deal to all the DLCs before they come to any other platform. So, this deal that they have is a 10-year deal. They started this in 2014 or 15. Yeah, 14. With Ghost, with Call of Duty Ghost. So it's an interesting. No, not Ghost. They started it with Black Ops 4. And it's an interesting thing that they complain about the stuff that Sony's being greedy about a multi-platform deal. And I'm just like, well, the deal is multi-platform. It doesn't take the game off of Xbox. All it does is delay beta access or alpha access by a few days, and it delays DLC access by 30 days, season to season, and a couple of weapons, right? So Microsoft isn't missing out on stuff. They're just getting it at a later time, which is fine because before this Activision deal was struck with PlayStation, guess where it started on? Xbox 360 and into the Xbox One. Throughout the entirety of the Xbox 360's life cycle, Activision had a deal with Xbox, and that went throughout the first 2 or 3 years into the one life, well, just 1 year into the Xbox One's life cycle. So this whole situation where people are just going up in arms, like Microsoft used to do these deals. They used to go on and secure third-party exclusives the same way Sony's doing these things. And you don't want to know what was interesting about this? When Microsoft was doing it, PlayStation fanboys had the same kind of talk about this. They had the same kind of rhetoric. Oh, they're just buying up the industry. They're buying and keeping games off of the platforms and whatnot. They need to focus on making their own games and everything. And so what did Sony do? They made their own games. They marketed those games. They perfected their craft and made first-party exclusives the thing that defines a platform. And then once the profitability came in from that, they started to reinvest that in not just expanding the first party, but also incentivizing the platform by these third-party deals. And the thing that's crazy about it is Microsoft is a $1 trillion company. Xbox can do this very same thing. The problem is, and what people aren't understanding, is that instead of using that money to secure these Xbox deals that would keep or incentivize marquee third-party games with Xbox, all they're doing is buying the games and putting them on Game Pass and locking other systems out of the entire thing. So it's like, rather than, like they could do those deals, but they're more focused on pushing the Game Pass agenda. And like, I get it. Game Pass has to make Game Pass is what they're trying to do. That's their thing. They realize, that there's an open, wide field out there that they could go for. And it's a blue thing with subscription services and console gaming. So sure, go for it, push that. But like, these deals that they're trying to do with buying an entire publisher and cutting off an entire revenue stream and an entire player base, and trying to funnel those same player bases that would be on another platform, and these other platforms would be PlayStation and Nintendo. These games would cease to exist on those platforms, and they would be forcing and funneling other people into investing in PC or investing in an Xbox just to get these games, and that's crippling the market. So when people try to say that, these third-party deals are these third-party exclusives are the same thing, they're not, because 90% of the time, the deals that you're seeing the most of is marketing with Resident Evil, or marketing with Hogwarts, and maybe an exclusive skin or an exclusive DLC mission or something. And that DLC mission could go for anywhere from 3 months to a year in exclusivity time, or even 30 days in a year to an exclusivity time, depending on how large the IP is. So like, Microsoft used to do these deals, and it used to do them often, to the point where it made PlayStation fanboys sick. So if you guys complain, if the Xbox community is all up in arms about Sony raising a red flag about, hey, this isn't right, do not bring up third-party deals when the majority of them aren't even exclusive. They're just timed. These games will continue to come to the Xbox platform just later. And these exclusive deals that they do don't bar people from getting them for a long time. They just...
I don't know if Destin has you blocked, Destin Legary. He has me blocked. I don't have him blocked, so hopefully he can read my tweet that I'll tweet after this show. But my days, like, is that guy the freaking national idiot of the US? I'm sorry, right? He does my freaking nutting. He responded to Jim Ryan's statement. Cool story, Jim. Now let's talk about Final Fantasy for a second. I'm lost for freaking words. Like, are you really equating Final Fantasy, a Final Fantasy game that Sony funded to be made, right? That they had a direct input in the development of. You're really going to liken that to the staple franchise that is Call of Duty?
Look.
Like,
when people say that, I have to laugh, because
he's the director of IGN. Fuck my life. He is the director of IGN. How is this clown the director of IGN? Does he not know better? How does he not know better? Where's... I'm sorry. I'm just... The intellectual dishonesty. Either he's being intellectually dishonest, right, and disingenuous, or he's genuinely actually believing his own bullshit, which is far more worrying. But you can't... You're a freaking sailor on the boat, and you're there crying over a puddle, going, "Look at you! Look at what you're splashing around in." And you're on a freaking boat in the middle of the ocean.
Final Fantasy still doesn't, as big as and as beloved as that franchise is, it has never really been associated with Xbox. Like, the game, like, you want to know what's funny? The game was brought to... Microsoft paid shit tons of money to get the game to get 13, to get Final Fantasy 13 multi-platform. Like, everybody remembers how both both 13 and Versus 13 were both announced as PlayStation 3 exclusives, and literally they became multi-platform. And guess who made them multi-platform? Microsoft did. And maybe it came as a necessity thing because the development cost of next-gen consoles at that time also went up. And looking at the cost of those things, it made sense to recoup some of those losses. But even still, those games did not sell a crazy amount on Xbox. They didn't. The 360 was the lead platform, and the game performed better on the 360 regardless, but the games still did not sell that well on there to warrant it. The games didn't even sell that much in Japan, where they were marketed heavily. So it's weird when somebody says, well, look at the thing with this, look at Final Fantasy. Well, yeah, Final Fantasy still doesn't make $3.4 billion a year, and it doesn't bring in $30 billion in revenue a year. So what are they talking about? Final Fantasy has always been a multi-platform thing. It's never necessarily been ever since, like, you could find Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts and most Square Enix IPs on multiple platforms, including Xbox. So, like, the whole idea that these games are off limits just because Sony said, hey, Final Fantasy VII was a big integral part of the early PlayStation life cycle when we launched the original PlayStation, and we want to rekindle that and make that a marquee title for PlayStation 5 and 4. What does it matter? Like, it's still going to come to PC, and at some point it's going to come to at some point they're going to bring it to Xbox as well. And the thing is, this game is still multi-platform. Microsoft can still go to Square, talk to them, negotiate, and put these games on their system. Like, there's no problem. No amount of money can stop that, you know? Like, they're $1 trillion company. They could go ahead and do these deals. The problem, like I said, is that they're more fixated on propping up and packaging and shipping off Game Pass as the gospel. And that's just it. Game Pass is their thing. That's their driver. They're no longer interested in spazzing out the Xbox platform because they're looking to look beyond Xbox as the platform. It's now Game Pass. It's now subscription. You could get Game Pass on Samsung TVs. You could get Game Pass on a dongle, which is something that's coming out soon. You could get Game Pass on Xbox, and you could get Game Pass on PC. So everywhere where that is, the incentive to push a console exclusive when you're going to push a subscription service that's going to eventually start turning over recurring revenue, that's where their eyes is. So, like, these commentators that work in these professions and look at the peas to the potatoes, I don't get it. You know, it's peanuts when you consider the development cost of Final Fantasy versus the revenue and the sheer popularity, the player base that invests 100% of their time into the Call of Duty infrastructure and ecosystem that there is. And that ecosystem has been on every platform every modern platform known to man. It was even on a Nintendo platform at one point, you know, and it's on mobile as well. So, like, you know, when I see Dustin and I see and I see Tom and I see
Tim Dog, not flipping. What was his name? Tom Warren. He came out with some dumb shit
when
the
I
other
see
day.
Tom, when I see Tom and Warren and I see Paris and I see all these other people come in and say, well, yeah, PlayStation does this, and I'm just like, why doesn't Microsoft do the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it, like I said, it's peanuts to potatoes when you look at the sheer worth of a mega IP like this. And it's not just the thing of removing these things, but like the incentive is that you can no longer play these unless you subscribe to Game Pass. And it just doesn't make any sense why they would try to false equivalent multi-platform IPs going full exclusive versus timed exclusives that still eventually come to platforms, or timed exclusive deals for smaller things like DLCs that eventually come to another platform.
And even buying freaking established, nurtured franchises that you've had fuck all to do with. Like, PlayStation don't do that, really. They bought 343, but 343 are independent of PlayStation. They're a subsidiary of Sony, not PlayStation. And they're remaining...
You mean Bungie?
Sorry, Bungie. That's what did I say?
343.
Did I? Oh, sorry, dude. I'm tired. Bungie. Not freaking 343. Sorry, I've got 343 on the brain right now. But like, and Destiny is remaining a multi-plat IP. And what baffles me is that, Microsoft have had naff all to do with Call of Duty, but whereas PlayStation, ironically, have helped fund it each year. Like, Zuby, you'll know this, right? They contribute like
facts.
100.
Like,
is it 100,000 or is it 1 million? Like,
yeah, it's in the millions. It's in the millions. Like the marketing deal they have.
Something.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like they put it all on their social channels. The advertising that goes into it to launch like a game like a Call of Duty is insane, and worldwide as well. So
they've contributed an awful lot to the success of
100%. You can't deny that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Zuby. PlayStation is actually the. I wonder if it's PlayStation or Square Enix. I'm not too sure, but I know one of those two Japanese companies is actually the publisher for Call of Duty in Japan, which a lot of people don't even know, because Activision themselves, they turn over the marketing to a Japanese publisher, and I think it was PlayStation. I think either Sony or Square markets it. I have to look it up, because I remember seeing on Famitsu a couple of years ago, during the PlayStation 4 era, Call of Duty, and it shows up on both platforms, but like the publisher itself, it showed a Japanese company as the publisher for that. So like, that whole money is also something that Sony does.
Yeah, it's Square Enix.
Oh, it's Square Enix.
Yeah.
These games. I mean, if these games were coming to Xbox regardless before. Same with Starfield. That game was coming to Xbox and PlayStation originally. It was in development. It was a Bethesda project, not an Xbox project. They bought that shit and made it exclusive. Like Microsoft have personified. They've literally materialized in every sense of the word and doubled down on it 100-fold. The arguments and the narratives that the fanboy community label against Sony, like in every sense of the word, and these false equivalencies from people who speak before they think, using examples of games that Sony have nurtured, IPs that they have assisted in the development of or directly funded the development of, being exclusive for a time. And not even making those IPs exclusive. Those IPs are still free for anyone else to make a video game on, if they strike up a deal with that third party developer or publisher. Like, they haven't locked those IPs away. from a platform, and that's the difference here. And the way that people can skirt around this, like they don't realize this, is so baffling to me. Go on, Sev. You were going to say something, or was it Retro? I wasn't sure.
No. I was just piggyback off it and reiterating again that they're keeping, they're delaying, right? Third party exclusive deals tend to be timed exclusive, unless they flat out say this is not coming because we're the ones who are publishing it. So it's disingenuous and really strange for them to, do false equivalencies of this nature just to say, so
yeah, like nobody said anything about exclusives being bad. Well, actually, Phil Spencer did. He directly condemned exclusives 2 years ago because he can't keep his mouth shut, and he contradicts himself every freaking second. But I don't have a problem with exclusives, but freaking make them exclusives, grow them exclusives, or fund them exclusives. Don't freaking buy multi-plat IPs and make them exclusive. That is not fair competition. It's not competitive. But yeah, like you said, Zuby. But lie beforehand to secure them. My God, like
be honest. Like just say it as it is. If you're gonna pull it, just say you're gonna pull it. Like don't dance around the subject and
then write a freaking love letter to the other CEO.
Yeah, and that was just like he said. It was way beyond any contract that any other publisher would have seen in the games industry. Like, come on, like you're gonna pull it. So just say you're gonna pull it. That's not anything special that you're gonna do with Call of Duty. Like, it's a multi-platform game, and even the way he talks is like he already owns the Call of Duty IP.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. It's like he's in the future saying, "Oh, look, we're gonna do this."
When you contribute the least but have the most to say, what are you? You're a freaking idiot. That's what you are. I'm sorry. It's just, yeah. It just angers me. It angers me, and it's more just the duality of the comments and the lies and the bullshit narratives from those who kind of think that they're getting something from this. Like, what the fuck has this deal got you? Apart from,
are you really surprised?
You don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy it anymore. You can rent it instead. That's literally all this deal has got you. Call of Duty would still exist without this deal. Like, you've got nothing from this. All that's happened is the game's being taken away. That's it. So this is for the business, not for the player, because you haven't gained a new Call of Duty from this deal. Nothing, a new game from this deal. Nothing has changed for you as an Xbox player, except it's on Game Pass now. Which, for me, the barrier of entry is just a moot freaking point. Because if you want the game, you'll get the game. You'll play the game. You'll enjoy the game all year round.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, Wooly, like the majority of the people, they get their fanboy and they just say, "Oh, look, haha, Call of Duty is getting pulled," but they don't see what's happening to the industry that all of us love. Like, we enjoy gaming. We do. I'm sure you guys don't want to see it get hurt on, like, let it get smaller. We want it to expand. We want competition from Xbox. Like, they're not providing that. You can't call this $70 billion acquisition competition. No, it's not. You're taking a major third party IP that wasn't yours off the table from the biggest player base in the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Massive facts. And there's just no way you can semantic all you want to try and like squeeze around this, but there's just no excuse. There's just no excuse in this. You lie about Bethesda, they're not going to be made exclusive. They're made exclusive immediately. You lie about freaking, or you play like the heroic card, trying to make out that you're being noble somehow by allowing an IP that's existed for some 20 years on another platform that you've decided to just buy off of it, but then give them a few years. Like that's something to freaking, I don't know, boast about or kind of use as leverage. Like, it's noble. It's so pseudo moralistic, man. It's lacking so much self-awareness. You've just fucked over a player base twice in 2 years, massively, with some 50 IPs removed from ever continuing to exist on that. And yeah, 50 includes a lot of obsolete IPs, but there is a freaking lot of not obsolete IPs in that 50. Like, you've got Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Wolfenstein, Doom, you've got Call of freaking Duty, Overwatch. We're just going to ignore, like, all the IPs that are very relevant and very successful on the PlayStation platform that you've removed, like, over a space of 2 years, just so that you can buy out the competition. And what do you get from this? These IPs existed before they were purchased by Microsoft, so they're not new IPs for you to enjoy on your Xbox console. That's the freaking point. So you guys defend all this shit all you want on your Twitter and your console warring, but at the end of the day, the CMA and Jim Ryan and others, like, are clearly showing clearly where they stand on this, and that it's getting a little bit silly now, right? This shopping spree, it's getting a little bit silly, and it's getting a little bit out of hand. And the love letter from Phil Spencer to Jim Ryan, just it's the cherry on the fucking cake. It's a comedy, absolute comedy. Anyway, Retro, what about you, buddy? He's at work. All right, fair enough. Yeah, Retro's at work.
No, I'm here. I just have to reach into my pocket to unmute myself. To be honest, bro, I'm not surprised. I mean, we've been getting lied to by Phil from about 2013 or something. So, like, it's no shock to me that he'd be talking through his teeth. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, what you've all pretty much covered what my feelings on the subject too. I mean, lucky for me, I don't give a crap about COD. I don't like the game. But I do feel for all them people that could potentially miss out on one of their favourite franchises just because somebody's ran in with a big checkbook and went, "You're now mine." You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I feel for Zuby. It's his favourite freaking franchise.
That's what I mean. Yeah, there's people like Zuby. He's got his favourite game and he doesn't know what's going to happen in the future to his favourite game. You know what I mean? And then he might be forced into buying a console or go into an ecosystem he doesn't want to. Yeah, it's a bit dodgy, man, in my view.
Yeah. There's other topics as well that have just been kind of suddenly come out of the woodworks, but to be honest, I wanted to kind of keep this a little briefer tonight and keep it focused on this one subject for the Hangout. Because it's pretty late and my missus has work in the morning. I'm recovering from my operation, so I don't have anything to worry about. But but she does. So we could wrap this up sooner than later if you guys want. If you've said what you wanted to say, but if you have anything else to say or anything more you want to add, absolutely go for it. Anyone?
I'm just gonna plug my space discussing PlayStation's recent acquisition. If you guys are a fan of acquisition talk, I talk about PlayStation's recent acquisition of the mobile space and kind of piggyback off of some of the slides Zubitech has put out over the course of this year that kind of reinforce how Sony is moving with each of their acquisitions and how they want to set up their pipeline for development. So y'all want to see that, it's been recorded and it's posted on my. I'll find the link for it, of course.
Make sure you
But
pin the
it's
tweet.
posted on
Pin
my.
the tweet to your Twitter handle, bro. Pin the tweet to your wall.
Yeah, I'll do that, so that you guys can find it. It's a pretty good deep dive, and it respects your time. It doesn't overly bore you with technical jargon, and it gets straight to the point, and it's nice, short, concise, and sweet. So I'm gonna just plug that there. But yeah,
It was only 45 minutes long, if I remember. It was really brief, and it was brilliant. It was a great listen.
29 minutes,
29 minutes, flipping amazing.
less than a half an hour.
Yeah, it's 100% worth a watch, guys. You should 100% watch it. Phenomenal. So yeah, keep that pinned to your wall. Maybe tweet it in the copy and paste it in the chat of this video, so people can click the link as well. Also, guys, as I said earlier on, here's an example of so here's the video the link to I'll pin it to my wall, pin to your profile, so you can go on Wooly_gamer and see this at the top of my profile. But here's a link to the show that we had the other night, and here's a list of the timestamps. You know, it explains who the CMA are, what they do, why they're investigating Microsoft. No, not the fake reason, not because Sony bribed them, but the real reason why, right? Why the CMA are concerned about this acquisition. You know, there's a few bombshell news drops about games in development that we didn't know about as well, exclusive for PlayStation. You know, how Microsoft's plans for Call of Duty potentially impacts the revenue streams of both Xbox and PlayStation as well, and it might not be what you expect. There's a whole lot in this, but it's an absolute like golden treasure trove of information and insight. So it's definitely one to watch. So check that out as well. Also, Zuby, bro, let's give you a shout out, dude. Everyone knows Zuby here, right? In the chat, everyone who knows who Zuby is. Who doesn't freaking know who Zuby is? You know, like every guy follows this dude. You know, he was at 6,000 subscribers like 6 months ago, and he's now at like 13.7 thousand. It's ridiculous. He's just amazing at bringing and consolidating all the latest information of the industry. And no, not just PlayStation. He does everything from Silicon and all the ins and outs of the logistical elements of Sony Interactive Entertainment, to Eastern companies, to Microsoft. Like, he knows it all. This guy does not stop his research. If there's anyone I could advocate, anyone to follow, it's Zubitech. And it's been a freaking privilege, as always, to have him on the show tonight. So, thank you, Zuby.
No, I really appreciate that, William. It means a lot. Like, I don't take what the subscribers, followers I have like lightly. Yeah, I appreciate everyone to talk to you guys. I'm passionate about this industry. Like, is something that you enjoy. Lifetime sometimes gets hard, so it's a good outlet that you can have. Like, you can play a game that you enjoy, or play with your friends and have a good time. But yeah, it's been such awesome talking to you, Wooly, and you guys need to watch Wooly's last podcast, and it was so good. Like, it had so many points that were underrated, like from Wooly, from all the panel. Like, you guys really need to watch it. It's so informative. Like, it is exactly what I would say in those situations. And for anyone watching the stream right now, you guys need to watch that.
Oh man, that is a freaking accolade. Flipping heck. No, thank you, buddy. Appreciate that greatly. You even said in the DMs it was the best episode yet for you. So that was freaking awesome. Awesome to hear. But yeah, facts. Listen to Zuby, man. Go check that show out. Especially if this one was a little too short for you. DZ, you know how much I love and appreciate you, bro. You're an absolute legend. For those who don't know DZ, he's a game developer, specifically in narration. Narrative, I don't know how you describe it, a narrative designer, a narrative...
Yeah, narrative designer.
Yeah, like, and yeah, he's working on his own video game with a studio, Fire Slug Studios, and honestly, like, this guy is a gem of insight and information too. He is, I call him an insider. He wouldn't call himself one, but he has sources and he knows a shit ton, and he did a phenomenal Spaces, which he has now pinned to his Twitter. So you need to listen to DZ, and give him a follow 100%. Retro, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know why he's even on the panel.
Does he love me? That's why. Stop lying.
Facts.
As always, I appreciate being on this show, man. I love you guys. I think you're great. But listen, I've got to bounce because I've got a couple of work colleagues here breathing down my neck for our break here.
They're just smelling you, bro. They're just smelling you. That's all. Smelling you.
I have to love yous and leave yous.
All right.
But it was awesome listening to you. I love yous back. Take care. See you all later.
Ciao, mate.
Bye. And you.
Yeah, for those who don't know Retro, you can follow him at XTSX on Twitter. And he's an absolute freaking legend. We snatched him up because he gives really balanced, mature perspective and takes. He has a good head on his shoulders. He has a proper good noggin. We really appreciate him. He even set up a squad, racing league on Gran Turismo 7. So if you're a fan of Gran Turismo and wanna join the racing league, it's really blowing up into something special. Even having Guerrilla Dev on it. Racing in it as well, and it's just awesome. You can reach out to him on Twitter, XTSXRetro. Any final words, guys? Any final thoughts before we wrap this bad boy up?
Nope, that all I needed to say, man. Zuby, it was a pleasure listening to you talk passionately about this industry, man. I always say it, you're one of the gems here with everything that you do. It's always nice to chop it up with you, man.
Yeah, likewise, man. It's always good to talk to you, DZ. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
Everyone in the chat, you've all been lit tonight. I'm sorry I'm a little bad at replying to people. I do tend to forget to look at the chat sometimes because I'm so busy handling all the logistics. I'll show you a quick full screen of my display right now. There you have it. It's a diabolical mess, but it revolves a lot of logistical work, to keep everything running smoothly. And so yeah, I'm sorry if I haven't responded to you. It's not because I don't appreciate you. I'm just really shit at multitasking, and I'm working on it. So thank you. All of you guys are legends. Thank you, chat. You've been lit. Appreciate every one of you. Remember, don't be a donut. Use your noggin. Peace.